Nebraskans are pissed. Bigly. The Askins are pissed. Nebraskans. No one wants to hear Farmer John with his butt crack showing, married to a Karen, complaining about losing your little farm when you voted for me. They don't feel sorry for you. And I don't need your votes anymore, so I don't care.
You said, I love you, Mr. Trump. I need to see the fruit of your love.
And I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on. I just would like to see somebody help us get our markets back. We need our exports, and we just need to be paid for what we do. And that's not happening. And we're in real trouble.
Lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere. In the short term, they have no choice but to mail us a check. I don't know a farmer that likes the check program. Nobody wants to take taxpayer dollars, but nobody wants to go broke. Nobody wants to lose everything. Long term, we have to have options, markets, and places to sell our product.
Imagine working 14 hours a day in the blistering sun, carrying the weight of your family's legacy, only to realize that the very policies you voted for are the reason your land, your crops, and your livelihood is crumbling into dust. And I'm talking about Nebraska farmers who are waking up to a brutal irony. The bootstraps they were told to pull themselves up by have been set on fire by their own chosen leaders. Guys, welcome back. Today, we're going to dive deep into the agricultural crisis ripping through America's heartland, where the so-called champions of self-reliance are suddenly begging for bailouts, and where anti-socialism MAGA farmers are now lining up for government checks. Okay, let us talk about this.
Nebraskans are pissed. Bigly. The Askins are pissed. Nebraskans. No one wants to hear Farmer John with his butt crack showing, married to a Karen, complaining about losing your little farm when you voted for me. They don't feel sorry for you. And I don't need your votes anymore, so I don't care. Bigly. Nebraskans. What did you think was gonna happen? If all your workers were Mexicans and we got rid of all the Mexicans, who's gonna be your workers? Guess what? You can take a page from the book of the Native Americans, followed by the African Americans, Chinese Americans, Indian Americans. Listen, what we're gonna do is crash the economy so all the rich people can buy up everything for super dirt cheap, including your land, Nebraska farmer dude. I don't know. And once we buy it for dirt cheap, we will hire you to work on said land. Hello, this is a tale as old as time. We've done it so many times before. And the fact that you thought you were exempt is absolutely hilarious. Bigly, it's funny because you guys are really effing around and finding out. Decided to put a little pause on the tariff situation. Canada had a problem and we came in and helped them solve it. They had a problem that there were tariffs that they could not pay. And I said, I will be your savior. I will take the tariffs away. You're welcome. Thank you. Nebraska, I've actually sold Nebraska to Vladimir Putin. And we know I like to say Putin. That's my friend. In exchange for 2 new mail order brides that should be here by Thursday. One of them's gonna come with me into my forever cryo chamber where I will live in infamy and be the president of the United States for the rest of existence and time. Bigly. We're doing very well with Russia. Russia's really enjoying us and we're really enjoying Russia, and they're bombing the hell out of Ukraine right now. And I don't like the Ukraine guy because that guy is tan and he's kind of sexy. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't like that about him. Vladimir Putin is much more pale. He makes me look shiny and orange. And that's the kind of leadership that I really look up to. Bigly, I do. We're having a good time. Everyone's having a good time this pregnancy, and you guys keep trying to come and interfere with your world news and your disasters. We like a good disaster. It's good for the millionaires and billionaires because we can buy up everything dirt cheap, including labor, including you. We need a workforce. Too many of you farmers want to own your own land with government subsidies. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not anymore. You got what you voted for. Bigly, you got what you voted for.
Hey everybody on TikTok, Democrat Matt with a quick Friday night rant. We are on the beach once again, ladies and gentlemen. We were booted off Wednesday night for telling the truth, and I posted a short about that. You might want to take a look at that. And that is definitely playing into my decision to possibly go to another platform, but we are done till the 10th with live, so no fuck up Friday tonight, unfortunately, and we'll try to hop back on next week after we're done. But today, job news came out. We set a couple of records today in Trump's America. The first one was we have the highest unemployment rate in 14 months. The second one was projected, current job growth of a paltry 22,000 jobs created in August, and projected growth to possibly be, you heard it, negative in September. Negative is another record of 28 months, something like that, of straight job growth going back to Joe Biden. But, this was inevitable. This erosion, this destruction, slow-rolling destruction of the economy, thanks to Trump's tariffs and his general stupidity. But also in other news related, all of a sudden, the pull yourself up by your bootstraps crowd in the rural South, all of a sudden now is embracing socialism. In Nebraska, Arkansas today, I was listening to some shorts. There were some farmers on saying, we haven't seen agriculture prices this low since we were kids. Chinese soybean contracts are at zero. We're going to suffer. We need money. All of a sudden, when times get a little tough, socialism all of a sudden is okay from the far right, from the MAGA right. You know what? I think that Donnie Douche should stick to his guns and not give them a dime and watch between 30 and 40% of farmers in Arkansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and other places go fucking bankrupt to celebrate the Christmas holidays.
Nebraska, Arkansas, Iowa are America's breadbasket. And for decades, farmers here were sold the dream of rugged individualism. You work hard, you earn, you keep. You don't need any handouts. This ideology wasn't just political. It was a cultural gospel. And yet today, those same farmers are watching soybeans rot in silos. Prices have collapsed nearly by 50% compared to 3 years ago. Chinese buyers, once gobbling up a quarter of America's soybean crop, have walked away. And you must be asking yourself why. Because of tariffs, trade wars, political theater dressed up as economic nationalism. And the results, zero soybean contracts with China. Not slow, not reduced, zero. Yeah, that's the equivalent of owning a store and discovering your biggest customer, the one who pays a quarter of your bills, just stop walking through the door. Okay, good people. Here's where the story gets spicy. Many of these farmers voted for Donald Trump. They bought into the America's first promise, believing tariffs would punish China, protect American jobs, and revitalize industry. But instead, tariffs punished them, American farmers, while China pivoted to Brazil, Argentina, and other markets. Now, some commentators online were mercilessly mocking these farmers. Quote unquote, oh, you wanted bootstraps? Well, pull harder while your farm is auctioned off to the bank. It's harsh, it's cold, but it's not entirely wrong because the contradiction is glaring. For decades, MAGA voters ridiculed food stamps, mocked welfare recipients, and cried socialism at any policy that even smelled like government aid. Now, they are begging for subsidies, checks, and bailouts just to survive. Socialism is bad until soybeans don't sell. Guys, let us break down this debate with cold numbers and even sharper edges. Let's talk about bankruptcy crisis. With experts warn that 30 to 40% of farmers in states like Nebraska and Iowa could go bankrupt in the coming years. That's not alarmism. That's a near extinction level event for small farmers. And then there is the inflation squeeze. Production costs are skyrocketing. Seeds, fuel, fertilizer, everything is more expensive. Even when crops grow, farmers are selling at a loss. And then there is the unemployment ripple effect. It's not just farmers. The ripple effect hits truckers, grain elevator workers, processing plants. Unemployment just hits its highest point in 14 months. And the rich man's game, some cynics argue this is the plan. Crush the small farm economy, let the wealthy swap in, buy a plant for very cheap and hire the same farmers back as wage laborers. Especially feudalism 2.0. And honestly, that's not conspiracy theory. That's history. It's how land consolidation has worked for centuries. And here's where the real energy kicks in. Imagine in Nebraska, farmer in 2016, no socialism, keep your government out of my life. Same farmer in 2025, 10 years later, Mr. Government, sir, could you cut me a check before the bank takes my tractor? Like, bro, you are screaming socialism ain't good. Now, why are you talking about this? It's almost comedic, because if it weren't so tragic, the hypocrisy isn't just about politics, it's about survival. Because when the ideology of bootstraps collides with the reality of bankruptcy, suddenly socialism doesn't look so evil. The cultural fallout is huge. Farmers feel betrayed, they're pissed. They're angry at politicians, they're angry at China, they're angry at themselves for believing the hype that America first was true. They're played by Trump here. Some have lost faith entirely in the political system. Others are doubling down, hoping that the next deal will fix everything. Meanwhile, their kids, their grandkids watch the family farm crumble, wondering if they'll inherit land or debt. And let us be clear, my people here. This is not just about soybeans. This is about what happens when political ideology is weaponized at the expense of working people. Right? So, what is the short term? Farmers are demanding bailouts, government checks, subsidies, things they once mocked. It's survival mode. You know, every drowning person must clutch at a straw, and they need markets, they need exports, they need fair compensation for their labor. Tariffs need to be rethought again, not as nationalist chest thumping, but as a pragmatic policy. These Nebraska farmers are very, very funny people, because if 30% farmers vanish, America doesn't just lose soybeans, it loses community, it loses traditions, and the very backbone of rural culture. Okay guys, let us zoom out. This is not just about Trump's tariffs or soybeans. This is about the American myth. The myth of the self-reliant farmer who needs nothing but his land and grit. That myth is collapsing under global capitalism, where your survival depends on trade deals negotiated in gilded boardrooms thousands of miles away from your rural farm. And it is a painful reminder, I must tell you, but yeah, I must say it. Ideology doesn't pay bills, political loyalty doesn't fill silos, and bootstraps, yes, get that. They don't work when the ground beneath you is quicksand. You gotta be swept away anytime. So here's the uncomfortable truth that many farmers, they don't want to hear. America's farmers are learning that in the end, it doesn't matter how loudly you chant America first. If your soybean rot and sold, it doesn't matter how fiercely you oppose socialism if you are mailing in forms for a bailout. And maybe, just maybe, this is the wake-up call that survival isn't about ideology. It is about solidarity. That what keeps us alive isn't rugged individualism, but collective security. And that the real question isn't whether farmers deserve help, but whether America can afford to keep sacrificing its workers, farmers, truckers, factory hands at the altar of political ego. Because if Nebraska falls, America falls with it. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in my next video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, turn on post notifications so that every day when I post new videos like this, you'll be the first person to get notified.